Morning everyone, it's Carol at Oak House Journals. Big warm welcome from me as always. So Margarete Miller, as you can see, I've got my bits and bobs ready on my desk for one of the last few assignments that we've got left in this 2023 challenge. So I've got my prompts here for assignment number 50 for week 50, and I've got my background paper here as always. So let's run through what I've lifted out for my prompts. So the first one is a thread or a piece of fabric. I've gone for this tiny piece of fabric there. This is lovely deep shades of red. It's quite fine, a little bit of chiffon style fabric. Don't know where on earth this came from. Something heavy. Well, I've gone for these. This is a stamp or a faux stamp of some turkeys, and as you can see, they're nice and plump, and I think they're going to be heavy, so I'm using those. Something from mythology or legend. Well, spoiler alert here, I'm going for Saint Nicholas, or rather Father Christmas, and as you can see, I've got one of Tracy Fox's December Daily freebies from a couple of days ago. I'm going to use this lovely image here. I mean, all of this is lovely, and thank you so much, Tracy. I particularly love these two images, but this one here really sings to me. Something that reminds you of holidays. Got this little piece of fabric here with Merry Christmas and a couple of stars on it, so I'm going to be using that. The next prompt is a plant of any colour but green. So I've got this poinsettia here, and as you can see, there's red leaves there, pinky leaves there, and some white, but there is a little bit of green around the outside. But especially around this time of year here in the UK, these plants are 10 a penny in the shops, particularly festive and particularly lovely. So I've got that. A book page. This is the only Edith Holden page that I've got that is this small. All my other pages are a lot bigger, and this one is perfect. I like the size of the print, even though it does say September at the top, so I'm going to be using that. And in addition, I have got a couple of pieces of paper here. I've got this piece of vintage marbled paper from the inside of an old Christmas Carol book. I've got this piece of wrapping paper. Now, I probably won't be using this, but I have lifted it out as a bit of a fallback in case I want to use it. And I've got this lovely piece of marbled Italian paper, so I've got that to use as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is to cut out this image. There's my tag cut out. Let's pop that up there. Now I want to have this on my page, and I'm more or less going to leave it the same size other than trimming it down here, and I'm going to take away the September at the top. And it just sits inside my margin, so I'm quite happy about that. Having my tag and using this little piece of fabric perhaps as a topper. Now I think this is too big to have like that. I don't want to cover up Santa too much. And that's where I was thinking about bringing this paper in, because this would extend my working area, because I don't want my tag going off the top like that. But I would like to get more or less most of that in actually. Maybe having that angled a little bit that way. Now, originally I thought that I could work this in by having it as a dangle, but as you can see, design fault, that's not going to work, so I'm going to need to pop it in somewhere. I know, let's put this behind. Now I'm thinking about the red, and this is where the red with the red fabric on top here might not work, so I might need to find another piece of fabric. So I could have this almost as a background piece. Gorgeous tones as well in these swirls that will pick up this. Lots of red tones on here. Have my Merry Christmas peeping out there. Maybe my little turkey tucked down in the bottom there. Just have that as a really simple collage. I'm wondering whether or not to back this. It does stand out nicely on that, but if I backed it, That might be quite nice. I'm just going to roughly put it in here for the time being, just to see. Liking it that that little star is peeping out there. I think that might actually work. I could always back this as well. I think using this up here isn't going to work. Does make my, actually, I think it might do, does make my tag topper stand out a bit better. Okay, I've got a plan here. So I'm going to rip this down so that it fits the size of my working area. So let me do that. So I've ripped down this background sheet of paper, so I've got lovely torn edges on this, and it sits inside my working area. I've also trimmed this down a little bit more, have that on there like so. My tag is going to be there. I'm using that leaf to come down into this bottom left hand corner, and I'm taking it off the page just to add a bit more interest. I'm going to stitch round my tag and stitch this onto the top. I was going to put an eyelet up there, as you know, to dangle that from, but obviously I didn't think that through. So I'm just going to stitch across the top there now. I've stitched all the way around my tag with a couple of rows of machine stitching in green, and also around this little thing here. Might just trim away this side. There we go. And now I'm going to glue this all in place. I did look to slotting that piece in behind there. Makes it very festive. What I am seeing when I look at this is my eye is immediately drawn down to that, and it's almost like a sore thumb. It's the odd one out in terms of the colour palette, so I'll do something about that. Right, I need to make a decision about this. Do I want that like that or like that? And I think that's more or less it. Let's get this on so that I know where these need definitely to be. And then that in there like that. That frayed edge is hidden by that leaf, which is quite nice. I'm just going to go around the edge of this little one with some forest moss. And just gently brush over the surface, just to take away a little bit of the white, which is looking a little bit stark. We'll soften it up a little bit. It's got a slight shiny surface, as you can probably hear squeaking away. There we go. Put some glue behind. I'm just going to tuck it in here at an angle, like that, just to break up that corner a little bit. There we go. And now I can glue down the rest of this flower. My Santa tag has snow on it, so I decide to mix up some white acrylic paint and put some splatters over the rest of the page to try and tie it in. So here we go, everybody. This is my finished page. I went in with some white acrylic paint to put some more splatters on here. Didn't really show up. Maybe I'd watered my acrylic paint down too much. So I have very lightweight white splatters, or very light white splatters on here. And I also went in with some Perfect Pearls mist. This is one called Biscotti and a great favourite of mine. Just to add a little touch of gold shimmer to it to keep it festive. So let me go through the prompts with you. Thread or a piece of fabric. Well, I've got my little piece of deep red chiffon-y style fabric at the top there. Something heavy, well, I've got my little fat turkeys down at the bottom here. Something from mythology or legend, well, I've got my tag here, and thank you again to Tracy Fox for that freebie. Something that reminds you of the holidays, well, I've got my little label here that I've backed with that green marbled paper from the front of an old vintage book. A plant of any colour but green. Well, I've got my poinsettias down here, and I've obviously got white, pink and the red, and I've put a little bit of glitter on those to stop it being so flat looking. And finally, bonus, my book page. Well, I've got my Edith Holden page here in the background. So this one came together super easy, a very simple collage, but as always I'll put some photos at the end for you to have a closer look. Until the next video, everybody, take care, happy holidays, bye bye.